That'll work. All right, so we are going to take notes today on lesson 3, which is natural environments. It starts on page 62 in our book. I have no idea what the PDF file is. All right, so let's see. Environment. Okay, this was actually really short, which is cool because I've got some videos to show you that go along with it. All right, so I'm going to read where it says, if you lived there. You see where that is? Up at the top. It says, if you lived there, when your family moved to the city, you were sure you would miss the woods and pond near your old house. Then one of your new friends at school told you there's a large park only a few blocks away. You wondered how interesting a city park could be, but you were surprised at the many plants and animals that lived there. So what environments might you see in the park? What do you think, Dylan?
Only like birds.
Okay, so environment where a bird could live, so it's got to have what?
Trees.
Yep. What else, Dixon?
Wetlands.
Maybe some wetlands. It depends on where they are, right? I don't know what city they're in, so that would definitely change that. Now, where do you find a lot of wetlands?
Around the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, so we're talking like maybe Florida. Even Arkansas has wetlands down in the south, southern areas. What else, Athena?
Well, I was just wondering.
Oh, we're on page 62.
No, in the paper.
Oh, it's up here. Sorry. Go ahead. Yes.
With the amount of sunlight that the Gulf of Mexico get, wouldn't the swamps and bayous and all that be a bit less because of the water vapor, or does it rain enough that it counteracts?
What? That's a good question. It's really humid, obviously, in the south, so there's a lot of moisture content in the air. And it's really shallow in the wetlands. So I don't know. Some of those trees, though, do shade the wetlands, so maybe there's less evaporation than you would think. So I don't know. Good question. So it says, no matter where you live, you are part of a natural environment. From a desert to a rainforest to a city park, every environment is home to a unique community of plant and animal life. These plants and animals live in balance with nature, or at least we hope they do, because sometimes humans interfere with that nature and it disrupts the habitat. So I would like someone to read the environment and life, just that first paragraph. Dixon, you want to tackle that?
If you saw a wild polar bear outside your school, you would likely be shocked. In most parts of the United States, polar bears live only in zoos. This is because plants and animals just must live where they are suited to environment or surroundings. Polar bears are suited to very cold places with lots of ice, water, and fish. As you see, living things in their environments are connected and affect each other in many ways.
Okay. So the first thing that I wrote in where it says limits and connections in nature, and this just gives a little preview, is environment, because it's a highlighted word. So that's what I would write first in that section, since it's a vocabulary word. Yep. And we would definitely be shocked, and I'd be like, polar bear, are you going to make it in here? Because this is the South, and it's so hot, even in 50-degree weather or whatever, 70-degree weather. Yeah. So what is a natural adaptation of the polar bear to keep warm? Do you know?
Blubber.
They have a lot of that, yes, but what color is their skin? Do you know?
White.
Black.
Oh,
It is
it's
black.
It's black, yeah. So why is black important for a polar bear, even though he has white fur?
It absorbs more light.
Yeah, it absorbs more energy, more heat. Yes.
Wouldn't do bears have sweat glands?
I have no idea. I know pigs
Well,
don't.
either way, wouldn't the heat of it make it hand, which will make it burn more calories?
Yeah. So that intro is talking about like each natural environment is specific to a location because of the weather and climate. The conditions, yeah. So let's talk about limits on life. I think that's what we're talking about here about the polar bear. Will someone tackle that one? Sydney, go for it.
The environment limits life. As our touring of the world's climate showed, factors such as temperature, rainfall, and soil conditions limit where plants and animals can live. Palm trees cannot survive at the frigid North Pole. Ferns will quickly wilt and die in deserts, but they will thrive in tropical rainforests. At the same time, all plants and animals are adapted to specific environments. For example, kangaroo rats are adapted to the dry desert environments. These small rodents can get all the water they need from food, so they seldom have to drink water.
Okay, so what are those limits on life? What are the factors that determine the environment according to that first paragraph there? Dixon?
The kind of plants, the soil, the weather.
Yeah. So I'm going to say factors. Well, you can even say limits. Limits on life include, it says temperature. I have to sound it out to spell it correctly. Rainfall, soil conditions, equals like specific environment. And I'm able to write this out because I'm typing. So if you need to abbreviate, go for it. Okay. But the cool thing is the creatures or the insects, the animals that are living in the environment, even the plant life can adapt to the environment a little bit.
Takes a little bit of while.
It does. So at the same time, plants and animals can adapt. So that's what I'm going to say as well. Maybe plants and animals can adapt. And I would say changing environment, because the environment is changing constantly, even if it's weather related or if it's human interaction. Okay. So one of my favorite examples of this are types of moths in England. So there were two main types of moths. There was a light colored moth and a dark colored moth. And during the Industrial Revolution, where there was lots of pollution, they didn't have any filters or anything at that time in the 1800s or the 1900s.
The light moth was more open.
Or visible, right? Because all the soot from the factories would cover the surface, and therefore the dark moths would be camouflaged, but the white moths would not. And so birds would pick off the white moths or the light colored moths a lot easier. And so that's why there were more dark moths that survived because of that adaptation. And so they were able to reproduce more dark moths. Does that make sense?
Adaptation or just variation?
I guess they wouldn't have adapted to their environment, but
Natural selection, the environment.
yeah, that's a natural selection because of the environment that they're in. But they would be able to regenerate themselves, and they would be more dominant because of the natural selection. Yes, sir.
There's a type of moth called the lunar moth,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't have a mouth or digestive system. It only lives for a week,
Mm-hmm.
and its only purpose is to mate.
And it's beautiful too.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Until it
and
dies.
Until it
first.
dies. Right. And it becomes food for something else, right? All right.
And
So let's look at connections in nature. Will someone tackle that and read for us? Okay, Jackson. I'll get you Dixon later.
The interconnections between living things and the environment form an ecosystem. An ecosystem is a group of plants and animals that depend on each other for survival and the environment in which they live. Ecosystems can be any size and can occur wherever air, water, and soil support life. A garden pond, a city park, a prairie, and the rainforest are all examples of ecosystems. The diagram below shows a forest ecosystem. Each part of this ecosystem fills a certain role. The sun provides energy to the plants, which use the energy to make their own food. The plants then serve as food, either directly or indirectly, for all other life in the forest. When the plants and animals die, their remains break down and provide nutrients for the soil and new plant growth. Thus, the cycle continues.
All right. So I wrote down the definition of ecosystem, which is a group of plants and animals that depend on each other for survival in the environment in which they live. So I don't know if you've ever done this in science class where you did like a food web of some kind. Like the snake is food. Huh?
Oh yeah, we did that.
Oh yeah, possibly.
Food web.
No, we did
A food web where
did
like
web.
a snake will eat a mouse, but an eagle will eat the snake. But that's like the top predators. They're not really any predators for eagles.
Nothing can
Humans.
fly that high.
Humans are at the top, unfortunately.
Pollution.
Or pollution, yeah. But pollution doesn't rely on anything. So
Yeah, it
Relies on
does.
fuel. Which
Well,
It
Which-
relies on us who make the pollution.
They exist.
so but if the eagle dies from natural causes, what does it feed?
The ground.
Bacteria.
Yeah, yes, literally the bacteria is going to break it down.
It dies in the dirt.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it'd be more like
That's true. It's not going to drop like a rock.
I mean, what?
it hits.
It might.
It's like a panel of glass. It hits it, it stops, and it falls.
It just burnt at that when we were in New Mexico.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it just scared
Oh.
us.
I would have freaked out too.
Oh, one in the
I sure I didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, some eagles can pick up small children.
Yeah. My son is nervous because hawks are around our area and we have a mini dachshund, and so he's like, "Are there any hawks out? Because I don't want anybody to take our dog or like the thing to take our dog."
Luckily, a borzoi.
I
luckily,
guess.
a borzoi's nose is too big.
About 20 pellets is simple.
Luckily, a borzoi's nose is too big.
And if the hawk can carry off our dog, kudos to it because it's big.
I mean,
A
some
borzoi.
can carry
A
on
borzoi.
like goats.
All right. So anything else do you think we need to put in limits or connections in nature? Do we need any examples?
No.
How about we need some examples? Example. How could we have an example of connections in nature?
You have to write the examples down.
It might help some people, but can you give me an example?
No.
Like you read one.
What do you mean I read one?
Yeah.
That whole entire second paragraph.
Plants,
Okay, the whole
And then-
entire second paragraph.
rabbits, and small.
Yeah, so we could say like a food web. Let's see. Remains, breakdown, and provide nutrients for the soil. Plants are food. Animals are food.
Rocks.
Do you know what rocks have in them?
Minerals.
Minerals.
That's what I was gonna say, but
Plants technically eat animals.
yes.
Some do.
Like
Venus flytrap.
they eat flies.
Those stupid flies.
Do you know there are plants that smell like rotten meat to attract flies?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the they look like it's like a bunch
really
of
pretty.
red leaves.
It's like a lily,
Yes. But
and
it's red and
yeah.
it's terrible.
so it's supposed to
It's
look
been
like
des-
meat
It's been
and
des-
smell like meat. Yeah.
It's been
Pretty sure
described
rotting-
as a rotting corpse.
Yes.
Grass are like supposed to like release this very foul smell whenever it's cut.
Yeah.
And,
It smells
fire.
You
What?
know the
All right. So let's talk about what happens when the environment changes, either naturally or man-made. Okay. All right, Dixon, you want to read that section where it says changes to the environment? The first two paragraphs, if you don't mind.
The interconnected parts of an ecosystem exist in a fragile balance. For this reason, a small change to one part can affect the whole system. The lack of rain in the forest could kill off many of the plants that feed the rabbits. If the rabbits die, there will be less food for the wolves and mountain lions. Then they may too die. Many actions can affect ecosystems. For example, people need places to live and food to eat, so they can clear land for homes and farms. Clearing land has consequences. However, it can cause the soil to erode. In addition, the plants and animals that live in an area might be left without food and shelter.
All right, so we've got an example here. Example, clearing land. So that's definitely going to benefit people because they're clearing it for a reason, but most certainly it doesn't help the environment. So either the plants and animals are going to have to adapt to the environment in some form or fashion, which takes a while, or they're going to have to move somewhere to a better environment for themselves or die out. So I like movies where, so an example of this would be like WALL-E, where we've destroyed our planet, and then WALL-E or Eva is looking for signs of life for it to regenerate, that kind of thing. Or where I Am Legend, I don't know if you've seen that one, where Will Smith is left behind to find a cure for this disease. But in the meantime, New York City is overgrown with natural environment because no one's there to destroy it.
Wouldn't at some point in the universe, not in the near future or future, wouldn't life exist like it began on Earth?
I don't know.
I had nightmares about that movie
Yeah,
when I
it's
was
a scary
really
movie.
young because I heard growling outside.
Yeah, it's scary. All right, so clearing land. I'm going to say, I'm going to add to it. It says benefits humans, but not nature.
We're parasites.
We are.
Yeah.
And the Earth is our host.
Dream.
Okay. Dixon, you want to continue, or does anybody else want to finish changes to the environment? Dylan, awesome. Where it starts actions.
Actions such as clearing land and breeding can destroy habitats. A habitat is a place where a plant or animal lives. The most diverse habitats on Earth are tropical rainforests. People are clearing Earth's rainforests for farmland, lumber, and other reasons, though. As a result, these diverse habitats are being lost. Extreme changes in ecosystems can cause species to die out or become extinct. As an example, flightless birds called dodos once lived on, how do you pronounce that, Mauritius? Oh yes, right. An island in the Indian Ocean. When people began settling on the island, their actions harmed the dodos' habitat. First seen in 1507, dodos were extinct by 1681. Recognizing these problems, many countries are working to balance people's needs with the needs of the environment. The United States, for example, has passed many laws to limit pollution, manage forests, and protect ecosystems.
So, technically, would my house be a habitat?
Sure. Text,
Also, Dixon.
text
What
valuable
those noses
ecosystem systems.
intimidate predators.
All right, so obviously we're trying to limit the balance, or not limit the balance, but find a balance between destroying our world and maintaining it for future generations. And how do you think we're doing on that?
We're not good.
Yeah, I would agree.
Incinerate
We
We're
know.
we're kind of screwed.
eh,
I mean,
yeah. We know what to do, but it's really interesting that although we know what we need to do, we don't do it. Like, what's the barrier for us to not do?
Whenever people die. Well, even after that, it takes a little bit more for that to become a barrier.
No, dying is a barrier.
Dying is not what a barrier.
No. So what is preventing us as humans from doing what we know we need to do.
You don't want
That's why
to.
everyone agrees.
Not everyone agrees with it. Some people are
Arrogance
ignorant.
and ignorance.
Ignorant.
We're lazy.
Oh, what do you mean arrogance?
We're lazy.
No, hold on. Dixon,
I
explain.
don't know how to put it, but they're arrogant. Money.
They're just arrogant.
Right.
I think money is a barrier as well.
Lazy.
You're
lazy.
Greed.
So I want to go back to the
What?
money thing because a lot of the changes in the environment is because it has a money profit to it, and that seems to drive a lot of people.
Lazy.
And that's where the arrogance comes from, I think, in some cases.
Laziness.
Yeah. So we know that recycling is good, yet every day people put their bottles in the trash can. You know.
Maybe because that's one's overflowing.
So maybe, but there's a yeah. Well,
But
You know what I'm
Industrial
saying.
Revolution.
And like we don't even have like a recycling thing up in your house anywhere, so you have to drive all the way to like.
so is that an inconvenience to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's an inconvenience to us. So sometimes we're like, we can do it later, or
Never do it at all.
yeah.
Don't want to do it.
What if
Yeah.
I just don't do it?
So it's just an interesting kind of thing to think about. All right. We have something like that in our notes there.
Yes, I have all of that.
Awesome. Last little bit. We're going through it faster than I thought, which is good because we get to we'll get to that in a minute.
We'll get to what?
Our project. I think I might introduce it to you tomorrow. We'll see. What's today? Tuesday? I lose track. Yeah.
Don't ask me. I don't know what day of the week it is.
Okay. Last little bit, and then we'll be done, and I can show you some videos. Soil and the environment. This is my favorite part because soil is so important. Will someone please read Soil and the Environment? Sydney, let's do it.
As you know, plants are the basis for all food that animals eat. Soils help determine what plants will grow and how well. Because soil supports plant life, they play an important role in the environment. Fertile soils are rich in minerals and humus, decayed plant or animal matter. These soils can support abundant plant life. Like air and water, fertile soil is essential for life. Without it, we cannot grow much of the food we eat. Soils can lose fertility in several days. Erosion from wind or water can sweep topsoil away. Planting the same crops over and over can also rob the soil of its fertility. When soil becomes worn out, it cannot support as many plants. In fragile, dry environments, this can lead to the spread of desert-like conditions or desertification.
Mm-hmm.
The spread of desert-like conditions is a serious problem in many parts of the world.
Okay. So a couple of things. The main idea of this part is soil determines what plants grow. So basically what's in the soil will determine, I can't do moss here or shrubs or ferns here, but I can definitely do a banana tree. And it's because of the types of soil. And I'm not talking about Arkansas, I'm just talking about in a certain environment, right? So soil is made up of one part humus or hummus, which is something else you could eat from chickpeas, but hummus is decayed plant or animal matter. And that's going to be resting more toward the top and right below the surface of the soil. But there's all sorts of layers of soil you can see in that graphic here. All right. So soils can lose fertility by planting the same crops over and over again.
That's what peanuts are for.
What are peanuts for then? To replenish the nutrients?
Yeah.
Okay. Wind and water can do the same thing. Erode minerals and nutrients. What else did it say? When soil becomes worn out, it can't support as many plants, right? talks about desertification. And you said it perfectly. Sydney, desertification is when
China.
the spread of desert like
What that means.
conditions. Now, there is a theory that the Sahara Desert that we have now was actually not as big as it is today. And it's this idea of desertification. So,
Shouldn't it be rainfall?
so a lot of people, a lot of ecologists think that the Sahara was actually a tropical area before it became desert or savanna and then the desert. Example, I want to say Sahara desert. Not dessert, desert. Okay.
You sure? I'm sure sand tastes like some days.
If you're in hallucinogenic state, then heat stroke.
There's just one parasite that attaches itself to a fish and then slowly eats away
You
the
told us
tongue
this.
and then becomes.
Ooh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, no,
It
it
does nothing after that. It's just
Huh?
there.
Yeah,
eats the tongue and then becomes the tongue and then it just stays.
Then there's also this one. It's called bromate. And what it does, it sits in the ground for a while, and then whenever this chemical is released from a growing plant, and it attaches itself
Yeah.
to the plant and then becomes the plant.
What a name.
And then grows out of the
What is
ground.
it called?
Bromate.
I'm not kidding.
Okay.
This is a secret.
All right.
I love how they
He's full of walking encyclopedia over here. Okay. So I would like to show a video of how important soil is. Do we have all this?
Yes.
Oh.
Almost? Okay. I'm gonna pause, I'm gonna freeze it and get the video ready. So soil profiles, you see that soil profile right there? Not only is it useful for plants and animals, but there are all types of different soils all over the world. And they, I don't know what the word is, but I mean, people study soil. That's what they do. That's their
How
job.
much of soil, like, is there any polluted
Dirt.
soil?
Now, the video we're going to watch is going to explain that there is a difference between soil and dirt.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't you call soil dirt because it's not the same thing. Okay. So
no.
Tastes good either way.
Plant dirt.
plant dirt.
And typically
No, what
they're
you
not the
want
same
is
thing,
inside.
but
Yeah,
But-
dig it out.
Isn't soil just very small rock?
It's going to tell you.
Like, you
Okay.
don't use the
something
dirt as a
later,
garnish
you
when
plant it
you
in
find
That's
soil.
what sand is too. Sand is just a bunch of like seashells.
they're not.
Welcome to the Science
Whoa,
Basement,
Not yet. Not
your
yet.
source for
Not yet.
videos that are entertaining
Stop.
and educational.
Such a sand under microscope. It's beautiful. It has tiny crushed up seashells.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sand is crushed up stuff, like rocks and stuff.
All right. So virtual students watch the soil video.
Rocks, seashells.